So recently, since I've been switching around from terminal to terminal, I've been wondering what is actually the best terminal out there? Like objectively, the terminal emulator that beats all the other terminal emulators. What is the best one? And I tried to find that out, but the thing is, I don't have the time to actually install and rate every single terminal emulator out there by myself, so I enlisted the help with all of my friends. That's right, chat is gonna help me rate all the best terminal emulators. I'm excited about this. Let's go. So here's how this is gonna work. I have my best friends right here with me right now. These are all my best friends. They're the only people I know in the whole entire world. And I have a list of terminal emulators. These terminal emulators are the most popular terminal emulators out there on the market right now. I'm gonna recruit my friends to help me rate the terminals so that we can get a good view of what the best terminals are once and for all. And at the end of the day, we might have a winner. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here's the criteria. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the GitHub page of every single terminal that we come across in our tier list. Then we're going to go over some of the features of this terminal. If I have it installed in my system, I'll show it off a little bit. And then at the end of it, we're going to ask chat what they think the terminal rates in a tier from S to F. F being the worst, S being the best. S being the S tier godly terminal, F being I wouldn't use it ever. Okay, so first terminal up, there is a bit of a problem here. One thing that I've noticed, and this is gonna subtract some points from a lot of these terminals, a lot of them have the same exact icon. And we're seeing this immediately right here. These first four terminals, I've gone over them a couple of times and I've already forgotten what they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to reference them. I have Yazzie open right here. So I will reference all these terminals. By the way, this is Ghostty, my personal favorite, but I'm biased. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're going to reference our terminals based on the images I see in Yazzie so that we can just do a little quick reference check. Make sure we're looking at the right thing here. So now, first terminal up, let's check it out. I already forgot what it is. I think I just found it. Oh, here it is. This is GNOME Terminal, fellas. All right, number one, here's what we got here. This is GNOME Terminal. This is our first terminal that we're gonna rate. And let's just see what we have here. We're gonna go over a few of the features, and then we're gonna talk to chat and see what they think. Okay, is this an S tier terminal or is it an F tier? Is it a winner or a loser? Is it a hero or a zero? Now, GNOME Terminal, I know for a fact, comes built into Ubuntu, and it comes with the GNOME desktop environment. So it's something that a lot of people have used. So there's a lot of support for it and a lot of plugins and a lot of things that people have developed for GNOME Terminal over time. All right, let's look at the Wikipedia page. Apparently Wikipedia has the best information on GNOME Terminal. I don't know why, but I don't know. Let's check it out. So GNOME Terminal emulates the XTerm terminal emulator and provides some of the same features as XTerm terminal emulator provides. Okay, great. So what does it provide? Okay, so it provides profiles. It has compatibility. So it supports a couple of different compatibility options for interfacing with older software. Okay. It has colored text. That's a big one. Colored text is a big one to have. And it has the ability to change backgrounds. Okay, so as far as I understand, GNOME Terminal has some pretty good features, but nothing that like wows you, nothing that really jumps out. That's kind of how I feel about GNOME Terminal. It's just kind of there and you can use it if you want, but it's not anything crazy. What do we think? What does chat think about GNOME Terminal? What do we got here? I'm seeing a D, S tier. We got double Ds. Okay, that's two Ds. Maybe that means a C. I see a couple of C's, a bunch of Ds. Oh man, people are hating on GNOME Terminal. I didn't realize this. It's a great terminal to install other terminals. C tier. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of Ds and a lot of Cs. There are much more Ds in here than Cs. So I'm gonna go with D for GNOME Terminal. I have to say I agree with chat on this one because I've used it, but nothing really wows me about GNOME Terminal. The next one we are reviewing is Terminal App on Mac OS. This is the default terminal on Mac OS. The default terminal on Mac OS is so boring that I don't really see any documentation for it out of the box. So I guess we're gonna go to Wikipedia again. It's a terminal emulator. It's included in Mac OS. Ooh, terminal originated in NextStep and OpenStep. Interesting. The predecessor operating systems of Mac OS. Once again, I gotta say, there's not a whole lot going on here. It's just built into Mac OS. What does chat think about Terminal App for Mac? I'm seeing a lot of Fs. Oh, a solid C. Oh, a Z. F plus for the history part. I agree. The F actually gives you something there. F, F, S tier. Excuse me, Lag Scarpy. You're lying. I know you are. And a Z. You voted twice. You're banned. D. It's not awesome, but there's nothing inherently bad about it. I kind of agree. I'm gonna go with F. I think that the terminal built into Mac OS is not great. The only thing I've done with the terminal app is download Homebrew and then install iTerm 2. That's all I've done. I've never used it otherwise. It's a boring terminal and I don't know what to tell you. It just is, there's nothing there to it. I need something with a little pizzazz, right? And I think Chad agrees. So Mac OS terminal, not great. F. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Once again, we're gonna have to reference our icons because they are all the same. I think that should remove some points. Okay, we're talking about XFCE4 term. XFCE4 term is the terminal that we are looking at now. So let's check out some documentation for XFCE4 terminal. XFCE terminal is a lightweight and easy to use terminal emulator application with many advanced features, including drop-down, tabs, unlimited scrolling, full colors, fonts, transparent backgrounds, and more. Interesting. Okay, so I think this is a good terminal. I haven't really used it before because I'm not really an XFCE person. I myself am more of a GNOME person. I always install Linux starting with the GNOME desktop environment and then move on from there. So I've never really had experience with XFCE4. So let's see what chat thinks. Unlimited scrolling. Doesn't work on Wayland natively, so F. Interesting, huh? Okay, we got C, C's and D's. I'm seeing a lot of C's, a lot of D's. I'd say it's C just because it's not GNOME or KDE. Okay, cool. So a lot of C's. We seem to have some consensus in chat for a first. That's interesting. Okay, so XFCE4 term, that's a C terminal. It's not gonna wow you. It works, but once again, yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one. Yet again, we are going to have to reference our sheet of terminals here. What do we got? Which one is this? Oh, ST. Okay, ST is a terminal I literally know nothing about. So this is going to be interesting. There's probably 2 people in this chat who have actually ever used ST. What are some features that ST terminal has? I'll just go with the AI generated article from Google search. How about that? The suckless terminal, or ST, is a minimal terminal emulator for the X environment. Okay, so it's not going to work in Wayland for me because I'm using Hyperland, by the way, and it has many features including graphical terminal, editing previous text, keyboard and mouse shortcuts, UTF-8 and wide character support, 256 colors and true colors, anti-alias fonts, fallback fonts, line drawing, etc., etc. Ooh, line drawing, what the heck? What do we think, chat? To configure ST, you have to apply patches to its source code and recompile it? Yeah, if that's true. FFF, I'm seeing a lot of Fs here. Oh, people say ew, yeah, okay, all right, that's an F. So it seems like ST terminal wasn't a good choice for this list. Most people don't seem to like it. We're gonna give it an F. And again, don't be mad at me. We're crowdsourcing this. So this isn't just my opinions. My opinions will have a little bit of a sway in here, but for the most part, I'm going with my best friends, who is, of course, chat on YouTube and Twitch. Next up, we have Warp Terminal. Now, Warp Terminal is actually in Linux now, and that's pretty cool. And I actually really like Warp Terminal a lot. Now, people might not believe this because I'm an FZF and Unix tooling stan, but I really like Warp Terminal. They do have some stuff where you sign in and there's some telemetry things going on, but if you're already using GitHub Copilot and other things, I don't see how that's a problem. But Warp Terminal, as it's showing right here on this like sort of marketing page, is actually really powerful and I like it a lot. It has essentially ChatGPT built into it, but it also has really great tooling around things like recursively searching your history using fuzzy finding. You don't actually have to install FZF to have actual FZF-like recursive searching of your history. That's huge. Also, if you forget certain commands, like for me, Kubernetes, I always forget Kubernetes commands. Warp was always great in sort of auto-completing those things using sort of AI suggestions, kind of like Copilot. And I don't know, I always liked Warp. So I have nothing wrong with Warp. I'll give it an A for sure, because I think it's a great terminal. I think it's really well designed and well made. I think it has great tooling out of the box, but the thing that keeps it from an S tier is I think it has some tmux problems. Warp tries to do too much. I mean, that's an okay assessment. Call me Mr. Yogurt. Hi, handsome. Who gave it an F? It is not an F. I disagree with the F statement. All right, I'm seeing a few A's and a few B's. And you know what? Since this is ultimately my tier list, you guys are helping, my best friends are helping, but this is my tier list. I'm gonna give Warp an A. I think it's a great terminal. I think they're a great company. They're making some cool stuff. Here's something else that I think people are forgetting here. Warp also sponsors almost every open source GitHub repository that I come across. When I'm doing research for things that are open source on Linux, I see a Warp sponsorship logo on a lot of them. There are a ton of open source projects that Warp is sponsoring. So they're doing good by supporting creators in the open source software community. And I think that's pretty good. And here's an example of that. Everyone's favorite tool, FZF, FCF, which is actually something that Warp has out of the box. I'm not sure if they use FCF under the hood, but they have fuzzy finding for your recursive history. Warp sponsors this, okay? So they are helping the open source community by sponsoring a lot of these projects. So in that sense, I say good on Warp. And for anyone else who's saying it's a B, I disagree. I think it's an A terminal. Might not work with my workflow perfectly, but I think they're doing good stuff. Okay, so far this list has been a doozy. We have a lot of crappy terminals that we've been going through here lately. Warp is a lone star in this list so far. Let's see what we got in the second half here. I wonder if there are going to be any surprises. Next up is my previous favorite terminal, Alacritty. Okay, so Alacritty, I know, has been built on Rust, and it's a blazing fast cross-platform OpenGL terminal emulator. This thing is awesome. Alacritty is amazing. It's built for Linux, Mac OS, oh, and Windows. But Alacritty has some great features. It's excellent out of the box. It's very performant, and it's built on Rust, and it has some cool stuff. So I like Alacritty a lot. I know where I'm leaning, so let's see where chat's going here. All right, everyone rate Alacritty S to F. Okay, seeing a few S's, but a lot of A's. A lot of A's are in this one. And I gotta tell you, I agree. I am in the A tier as well for Alacritty. And there's a couple of reasons why. You see, Alacritty has a lot of great stuff out of the box, but it does not support image rendering out of the box. And I don't think it supports ligatures either. And that will knock it down a peg or two. Even though it's an amazing terminal, I think I'm gonna give it an A as well. So Alacritty is an A tier terminal. Alacritty could be S tier very easily, but there's a couple things out of the box. Like I said, image support and ligatures. Let's bring that down to an A. Next up on this list is my personal favorite terminal. So I am very biased with it, but it's been making the rounds in the community lately because it is an exclusive invite-only beta terminal built by Mitchell Hashimoto of HashiCorp. This is a Zig built terminal that has a ton of features built into it. And even though it's in beta, it works unbelievably. Let me show you. We are talking about Ghostty, and Ghostty is my favorite terminal because I use Ghostty. This is Ghostty. It works amazing. It has great performance. It has image rendering, as you can see, built into it. It uses the Kitty graphics protocol for image rendering. You can play Doom in this thing. It's great. It has a lot of features. It has so many cool things. It even has a terminal inspector, so you can inspect the events that are happening in the terminal if you're developing things or you're chasing bugs. It's a great terminal. I know where I'm leaning. For chat, for people who have Ghostty, where would you rate it? Let's go. Lag Scarpy. Ghostty is an F because Typecraft likes it. Come on, get out of here. That's it. I'm banning you. Just kidding. I can't ban one of my best friends. Never used it, but the people who are chiming in, I see a lot of S's. I see one B. You know what? I gotta tell you, even though it is in beta mode, it already has more features than a lot of other terminals. It's very performant, and it is an excellent terminal. It's really, really great. I'm giving Ghostty an S, not only for where it currently stands, but also its potential as a project. Okay, next up, I have looked at this icon for many, many years. I developed on Mac OS for a long, long time. As far as I'm concerned, this is the default terminal for Mac OS. That's right, we're talking about iTerm 2. iTerm 2 is a great terminal for Mac OS. I have used it myself for many, many years. I don't think we even have to go over it because everyone uses this terminal. So let's see what chat has to say. Seeing B, C, B, B, A, B, B. I saw one S get in there. Lagiscarpy is stuffing the ballots. He's cheating. Stop the count. Stop the count, Lagiscarpy. He's cheating. He knows it. Ghostty will be open source, but currently it's a private beta because he's trying to let in only so many people at a time to get feedback to make it better before he releases it to the public, but it will be open source. I agree. iTerm 2 is not that great for .dot files. It's also not that great for importing new themes. I don't love that about it, but it is basically the default terminal for Mac OS. Someone said it was mid. I think that's a good description of it. iTerm 2 is solid, but mid. I'm giving it a B. iTerm 2, B tier, baby. Next up is a terminal that is extremely popular and very influential. The next terminal is Kitty. Now, Kitty, I know, has developed the Kitty graphics protocol, which is an open protocol for rendering images in the terminal, and that has been used everywhere, and that's amazing. So that alone, I think, would give Kitty at least an A, possibly S tier rating. I know that Kitty is also very performant. So let's see what chat has to say about Kitty. Meow. Also, I did switch from Alacritty to Kitty recently because Kitty has image rendering support built in. I then switched to Ghostty, but Ghostty uses Kitty's image protocol. So Kitty is responsible for some of Ghosty's features. That's kind of big. That's huge. Seeing a few S's, Lagiscarpy, a big S, big ol' S. S tier. Everyone's giving it an S. I could see a couple A's, but you know what? I'm going to have to give Kitty also Heroin Henry. Great, great summary, Heroine Henry. But yeah, Kitty is great. I think I'm going to also give Kitty an S because not only because it's a great terminal on its own, but it's also so influential and responsible for so many features in other terminals. That is an S tier terminal right there. All right, next up is everyone's favorite Windows Terminal. We are talking about, well, Windows Terminal. So Windows Terminal is a thing I've never used because I don't use Windows. I use Arch, by the way, but a lot of people seem to like it. I got a lot of people asking me to include it in the tier list. Maybe it was just a meme and chat wanted to give it an F. We'll see. What does chat say about Windows Terminal? Ooh, a couple of Fs, but I see a couple of As. This is a very controversial one. This is one of the more controversial terminals there is. Someone gave an S, A, B, S, B. As far as Windows goes, it's an A. Needs a new tier. Needs to be below F. Oh my God, the lowest level of hell? What? Theme support is a pain in the ass like iTerm 2? Okay. Hi YouTube, don't use Windows. That's not what we're doing here. VsCode, that's not what we're doing. Shh, stop. Since it is a, I don't know if beloved is the right word, but an enjoyed terminal on Windows, and everyone seems to like it, I'm skewing towards A. All of you people who are saying it's an F, I don't think you use Windows. I don't have a good view into this, but for all my Windows peeps who are really using Windows, I'm seeing a lot of A's, a lot of S's, and some B's. So you know what I'm gonna do? Because there's a lot of people in here who hate it. It's very much, this is back and forth here. I'm gonna go with B. B because on Windows, it seems like it's solid. Everyone on Windows seems to like it. Typecraft is in the pocket of Microsoft. No. I think on Windows, it seems to be a great terminal. Someone said with PowerShell, it works really well. I am going to give Windows Terminal a B tier. I think that works. All right, gang, next up is a terminal that I think almost needs no introduction. Every time I make a video about terminals at all, everyone mentions this terminal and says it is the best one. We're talking about WezTerm. I haven't actually used it, but from what I understand, it is well liked. So let's talk about WezTerm. WezTerm is an interesting terminal because I've actually never used it. I think it gets more love than even Kitty and Ghostty. WezTerm is cool because it's got this anime stuff going on, and that's always a big plus. In fact, that immediately starts at that S tier and it can only go down from there, but it seems to have a lot of other great features. Let's see what we got here for features. Available features. It runs on Linux, Mac OS, Windows 10, and FreeBSD. That's great. You have multiple terminal panes. You get ligatures. Okay, that's great. Hyperlinks, search, scroll back, Xterm style selection of text with mouse. This is great. I like this. Okay, so WezTerm does seem to have a lot of good features. It's built for all systems. What does chat give it? From S to F. Let's go. They replaced Tmux for me. Oh, it has a good terminal multiplexer? Okay, interesting. You know, I'm seeing in chat that most people give this an S, and whoever doesn't give it an S seems to give it an A. So that kind of tells me I should lean towards S for WezTerm. Everyone seems to love it. Any video I make about terminals talks about WezTerm. So many comments comment about WezTerm. People seem to love it, so I'm gonna give it an S tier. I haven't used it before, but maybe I'll look into it. I gotta say, this board is getting pretty hilarious because I cannot tell what any of these terminals are. I know some of them are, this is ST, one of them is the default terminal app on Mac OS. I forget what these two are. Oh, one of them is GNOME terminal. But yeah, this is, I mean, it makes sense that the forgettable terminal icons are in the most forgettable tiers. Is that a coincidence? It might be. Hey, get your icon game on track, okay? Next up is a beloved piece of software that everyone loves. I have not seen any hate given towards this piece of software at all. That's right, we're talking about the terminal from VsCode, and it's amazing. Look at this. Isn't she a beaut? You can do anything you want in this terminal. You can open new tabs, you can close the tabs, and you can even open NeoVim in it. Isn't that cool? You can open NeoVim in VsCode's terminal. That's a thing that I think really makes it awesome. What file did I just open? What is this file? I don't remember writing this. Oh my God. Okay, VsCode Terminal. Let's see what chat says. Let's see what all my friends say about VsCode Terminal. You can open NeoVim, by the way. I think that gives it S+ tier. Dogwater, we got F. We have F-. We have a couple S's and an A. Electron, Windows tier. We have S, we have a C, got a couple F's. Okay. I personally think this is an S tier editor and an S tier terminal, but the chat seems to disagree with me. We will call it F. The terminal in VS Code is an F. I'm sorry, Microsoft. You've done great things. Thank you for the LSP stuff, but that's a bad terminal. Last but not least, we were talking about a terminal that is enjoyed by everyone, especially people with a certain kind of fetish. That's right, we're talking the foot terminal. So let's see, what do people like about the foot terminal? This is another one that I actually haven't used before. Some features for foot terminal. It's fast, lightweight, it is Wayland native, DE agnostic, which I think most terminals are in Linux. It has server/Matt Damon mode. It's user configurable font fallback, on the fly font resize, on the fly DPI font size adjustment, scroll back search, keyboard driven URL detection, color emoji support, IME, multi-seat, and true color 224 BB. Okay, what do we think about foot terminal, everyone? I'm seeing an A, an S, a D, a lot of nulls. F tier for, wait, Wayland native? S tier. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of nulls, a lot of B's, a lot of S, a lot of meh. A couple of people say meh. I agree. Yeah, you know, it's something that never really wowed me. It's something that never really jumped out at me like WezTerm, even though I haven't used it before. So because of that, I'm gonna give Foot a C. Foot is in the C tier to me. That's right, it's below Windows Terminal. I agree. Someone in chat said it needs more anime. I 100% agree. Foot Terminal does not have enough anime. So that's it, gang. This is our tier list for some of the more modern terminal emulators that we have at our disposal today. The latest and greatest, and it boils down to this. We have Ghostty, Kitty, and WezTerm in the S tier. Truly amazing pieces of technology. In the A tier, we have things like Warp and Alacritty, which are amazing, but maybe have a couple things that are knocking them down a peg or two. B tier, we have iTerm 2 and Windows Terminal, which is great, I guess. And then from C on down, I barely even recognize some of these icons, so I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but they're garbage. Just kidding. They're pretty cool, but I don't use them, and neither do most of the people in chat. If you want to learn more cool technologies like terminals, NeoVim, and Linux, please subscribe, and hey, thanks, nerds.